Hello and welcome to U.S. History. So I have the distinct pleasure of teaching your student third period right after my planning period, and it's going great. So we've already had a number of really interesting discussions about events of the day, their connections to the past. They've already begun to tackle narratives and interpretation of sources. And I look forward to getting to know them better. I'm finally getting to know their names. We're going to be working together on note-taking, on writing, and of course that very important skill of telling the difference between bogus sources and credible ones. One, a skill that's becoming increasingly rare in American civic life. So a little bit about me. I did get my BA at ASU, but I believe that I redeemed myself by getting my graduate degrees at the University of Arizona, go Wildcats, and my MA degree is in US history. I earned my doctorate in Latin American and world history at University of Arizona, so I can connect US history to a larger field, and my degrees are both in modern US history and in the colonial period. So again, I can do the first and second half of this survey. This is my fourth year at Sabino. I have taught at the U of A, tutored there as well. I try to keep up to date in both pedagogy and historiography, as well as keeping a toe dipped in the practice of history itself. So you can email me at mathew.furlong@tusd1.org. And I am available to your students during my planning period, second period, email. And again, I've been in contact with all your students via email during the second half of each period, which is the time where I'm going to assign them work to do on their own off of Zoom and in office hours from 3:30 to 4:30. And of course, if your student can't make those times, they are free to come and plan or, make an appointment for another time. So we are in distance learning. It's something that no one anticipated and that none of us look forward to, but it is what it is. So we're mainly using Microsoft Teams and Zoom as our primary platforms. I did want to point out that Wednesday we are still meeting, but most of that period is going to be asynchronous time. So I usually have special assignments. It might be a time where they can spend a little bit more time with a reading or a source. So I do want to emphasize that students need to punctually attend their Wednesday synchronous periods just as they do for every other day. About synchronous, just a fancy way of saying as at the same time, okay? So the synchronous period is the more conventional type of direct instruction. This is when we're going to have discussions, when we're going to be taking notes, excuse me, and I'll be lecturing. There will be quizzes during this time, small writing exercises, and we'll have time to interact as a class and within small groups. The asynchronous part of the period, that's usually the second half, that is going to be a time for your students to kind of recover from all their screen time. They are going to complete short writing assignments, short readings, videos, accompanying worksheets, maybe start a research project or complete a Kahoot quiz. So those will be performed off Zoom and sometimes even offline. We do have some new expectations, and one of the first, I really want to emphasize this, is if a student encounters technology problems that interfere with their ability to log into Zoom or otherwise use their computer, they need to try to immediately contact me and inform me of their situation so that I can accommodate and work with the student. Otherwise, I have no idea if they slept in, etc. As with regular class, I expect students to be on time and prepared to learn. They are going to enter Zoom through a waiting room. This is so we can prevent students who aren't in the class from coming in and distracting people. Students, as much as possible, technologically possible, are expected to be on camera during the entire synchronous period. So I'm on camera. I'm not extremely happy with some of the physical changes that have occurred during our COVID quarantine time. Nonetheless, I'm on camera. I expect your student to be on camera. This is how we keep each other accountable. I do want the audio to be muted. Again, this is something I try to do. I try to go into a quiet space. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment. My daughter is a TUSD student. My wife works remotely. So I know how distracting it can be. I do want them to talk though. So I will call for people to speak up. Important that students check Teams. Teams will show them what assignments have been submitted. They'll still be there, so they'll be available for study. So they need to be accountable for their work. Make sure that students follow all the same guidelines that they would in a normal discussion, that they keep electronic devices away, including phones and including gaming platforms, Xbox, etc. Everything needs to be submitted on time, and if not, if there's a technological problem, I need to be informed so I can adjust. Also, original work, right? No plagiarism. Okay, so curriculum is open to student experience and input, right? Personal experience is here as long as it's backed up by evidence. We are gonna have a fair amount of local content. So for example, behind me is a map that was made by early 18th century missionaries active in Arizona and the Mexican state of Sonora. Tucson is on that map as San Francisco del Bac. And again, that's just one illustration of the ways that Arizona is deeply imbricated with important and broad historical patterns and changes across the United States. Okay, we will be going through Arizona state standards, which are based on skills. So that's why we're writing, that's why we're reading critically. Again, primary sources, this is the kind of critical thinking that's extremely essential in our very challenging media environment. And also kind of introduction to civics. How do you disagree with someone while still being civil, respectful, and using evidence? US history, we should be going through all the way to the 21st century. And this is our general structure. We're dividing US history up into 9 pieces. We're currently in period 1. We should be finishing that soon. We'll be doing colonization. And again, going all the way through the 21st century. There should be an exam at the end of each unit. And we'll be exploring a lot of themes from labor to migration to foreign policy. Once we are in class, same rules apply. The TUSD Code of Conduct, your students are juniors. They have a good idea of how to behave. And again, things have been working fairly well up to now. And we'll have a variety of different ways that we're going to be working and understanding a lot of discussion, note-taking, lectures. We do need to build that base of knowledge, and then shorter writing assignments and very fun online quizzes called Kahoots. Okay, that's it. And again, thank you for raising your children, bring them to Spino. I've had a good time already, and I'm looking forward for the rest of the semester and year.